In that private moment on his dying day, we find everything we need to know about who Charlie Kirk truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry.
If we could have just cut off maybe the last 10 seconds, it would have been fine for a memorial service. But, that's the Donald, AKA President Donald Trump. While making things about himself during Charlie Kirk's memorial yesterday, President Donald Trump made his hatred for his political opponents crystal clear. And now he's once again vowing to go after them. As a refresher, Trump has recently been up in arms over the fact that Eric Siebert, the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, hasn't been able to bring criminal charges against New York AG Letitia James. Siebert was investigating James and Comey also for similar reasons, couldn't find a viable way, he said, to bring charges against them. So you would think that would be case closed, but it's not. Trump was threatening to fire Siebert, but it was reported that following the threats, he officially resigned from his position. So that takes us to Saturday. Trump penned an open letter to his Attorney General Pam Bondi. Here's what it said, and I think this is his version of a love letter. We know how he rolls. Pam, I've reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, same old story. At last time, all talk, no action, nothing's being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never going to do his job. The president on Truth Social. So he went further. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard, even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him. And there is a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT. Now, he didn't end it with thank you for your attention to this matter, but you get the point. Democratic Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine did approve his nomination. Trump told reporters, when I saw that he got 2 senators, 2 gentlemen that are bad news as far as I'm concerned, when I saw that he got approved by those 2 men, I said, pull it, because he can't be any good, Trump said. President did not mention that he nominated Siebert only after the 2 senators, Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, had already written Trump praising him. So why is the president directing his ire at Attorney General Pam Bondi? And why now? Well, Attorney General Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General who runs the day-to-day operations of the Justice Department, had privately defended Siebert against officials, including William J. Pulte, the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, who had urged that he be fired and replaced with a prosecutor who would push the cases forward, according to a senior law enforcement official. Well, it seems Trump is not a fan of that attitude.
No, I just want people to act. They have to act, and we want to act fast. They were ruthless and vicious. I was impeached twice. I was indicted 5 times. It turned out to be a fake deal, and we have to act fast. One way or the other. One way or the other. They're guilty, they're not guilty, we have to act fast. If they're not guilty, that's fine. If they are guilty or if they should be charged, they should be charged. And we have to do it now.
President in formal attire, same rhetoric. Finally, some experience, right? Who's he going to nominate? Well, the top White House aide, Tiffany Halligan, to be Siebert's replacement to work with Bondi and figure out some way to charge Trump's political enemies. Halligan has been part of Trump's legal orbit for the last several years, including serving as one of his attorneys in the early days of the FBI's investigation into Trump's retention of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. She's more recently been enlisted in a White House effort to remove what the administration contends is improper ideology from Smithsonian properties. This is far reach it is from Trump, obviously, and even his most dedicated supporters like Senator Markwayne Mullin. They're struggling hard to defend him. Listen.
He's asking his attorney general in a public way to go after his political enemies. Very open about it. You're okay with that?
Well, I think what we know is President Trump is very open and transparent with the American people, and he speaks his mind. And that's what his supporters love about him, and that's what America loves about him. I don't think there's any question that Comey should be looked at. I mean, we just got to look at the 86 comment that he made, and when we start looking at the lies that he chose to continue with Russiagate, Adam Schiff went out while he was the chairman of Intel every single meeting and said that we had the smoking gun, and he said that for how many weeks straight? And you're going, where was the smoking gun? At some point, their actions need to be looked into, and if they did something, I don't know. This is a country that should look into it. If they did something illegal, if they were leaking classified information, if they used their position of power for corruption, then they 100% should be held accountable. And what President Trump is saying here is it's time to look into them and say and hold them accountable for what they said.
Okay, so if you listen carefully, he's not prejudging anyone, not at all. He's just saying, look, let these investigations come forward. He called the president transparent. That's false. Speaking his mind, sure, beautiful mind, however you want to define it. Mark, what gives here? We had the open letter, which maybe he meant to send as a DM, and then the cleanup in the formal attire where he says, if they're guilty, maybe, if they're not, nothing to see here. I just want justice to move forward. What do you make of all of this, and what do Pam and Todd do next?
Yeah, well, first of all, I wish for all of us the kind of love that clearly Markwayne Mullin has for Donald Trump, or that the MAGA supporters have for Donald Trump, and we should all receive that kind of adulation, love, and support through our lives from anyone. My other half I've been with for 11 years, she doesn't support me the way these MAGA people support Trump.
My goodness.
It's amazing.
Congratulations.
But there is a sense that they default to this, well, he's right out front. And this might even happen in sort of a subliminal way for many. Somehow, if he is so out front about it, if he's so, posting and requesting quite openly, declaring people full of hate and maybe worthy of investigation, as he did with Jonathan Karl the other day at that gaggle in the United Kingdom, or as he has done on social media, that it must be okay, that it must not be illegal or unconstitutional, even though it offends all of our sensibilities and our general sense of what legality in the Constitution is. So Bondi finds herself in a little bit of a tough spot, because essentially those who she's dispatched this Trump work to, that is to say, find stuff on these people. I mean, it goes back to even the creative way they found maybe mortgage irregularities with the governor on the Fed board. They look for all of these different ways. I mean, this crew that's in power now of finding something that might be the beginnings of a government investigation. And remember, a government investigation, and once you've been targeted by a government investigation, it can be an expensive undertaking to defend yourself, even if nothing comes of it. So there's a quality of destroying your life that they can do just based on the fact that they are marshaling forces legally of the government and going against you. So back to Bondi. She finds herself in a little bit of a bind, I suppose, because she is such a loyalist to Trump. I mean, she speaks Trump, she dances Trump, she walks Trump, and yet it may not be Trump enough. Yep. He wants real decision-making around Schiff and Comey and these expressed enemies. I've built the list for you. I've dropped it on your desk. Now, damn it, I want charges. And what's happening is there's no evidence of criminality here. So they're going, dude, we want to help you, but there's nothing here. And so Bondi finds herself in a bit of a bind, as does the Justice Department. And literally, they may just replace all of these people with loyalists who will concoct charges, and it'll likely end up with charges being thrown out, unless it ends up in a Trump-friendly court in which it'll be indulged in some twisted way. I mean, we are in a little bit of through the looking glass here.
I couldn't agree more with everything that you said there. It is not enough to be loyal. And I don't know why these, whether we agree with them or not, and whether they're making fools of themselves or not, thinking that this will last forever, this authoritarian on its way, full-blown rule. But I don't know why they think that they can be loyal enough. What he's looking for is blind loyalty. It's like the Heaven's Gate cult, right? And Hitch a Ride on the Hail Bop. It made no sense and ended up being very tragic. Blind loyalty, though. Folks followed it with blind loyalty, and they didn't question it. And that's really what he wants. He's giving orders, and sure, sometimes the order's this way and that way, and he's multitasking, but he wants you to just do what he told you to do, like Pence on January 6th. And if not, you are going to find yourself out of there, by first nominating and then saying, oh, I don't want this guy. I mean, he's your guy. And haven't we seen that more often than not, Mark? But what I really want to ask you before we move on is, look, isn't it, and I don't want to prejudge these cases like Trump is seemingly doing, but I was always taught that if the feds want you, they can get you. The fact that a loyalist to Trump is saying, I looked at everything, I can't get her. Isn't that like proof, like, move on? There's nothing there.
I don't think he's got a lot of move on in him, Sharon. And so I think this is a jihad, and there's no convincing him otherwise. So as I say, if there's no evidence of criminality, those people who are there to do the work on behalf of Trump from the standpoint of prosecuting his enemies may have tough sledding. Now, but as you sort of said, they can concoct something or begin an investigation or announce an investigation, and maybe that will be enough to get things started. But the real moving on, I don't see it. Trump just, has this like a dog with a bone.
Yeah, unless it's Epstein.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.